Today I will be sharing with you the travails and triumphs on my first SMT challenge run. While Past Me runs through one of the longest tutorials known to man, let's talk about how this challenge is going to work. I'll be using only Pixie throughout the entire game, ignoring any male party members or social links. I was going to do a basic Pixie only challenge, but I thought that'd be too easy for Persona 5 Royal. It was also a good excuse to use the female Joker mod for a playthrough. She also looks pretty good on the thumbnail. Speaking of mods, there's a link to the pastebin for all the mods I use in the description. Most of them are just cosmetic. The ones that affect gameplay are mostly just removing DLC advantages, such as the starting money and overpowered accessories that you have to take when picking up the DLC outfits usually. The only other thing that should affect gameplay is that with the FemC mod, Joker can't wear any male equipment, and that attacks that could only target An in the Kamoshida boss fight now can also target Joker, as she's also a target of his perverse nature. I'll of course be playing on Merciless, and our main goal will be to get the true ending, so we will have to hang out with Marky and Akechi for that. I'm sure you're all torn up at the thought of FemC hanging out with them. That's why I made Marky a catboy to soften the blow. But yet again, I didn't think this would be hard enough for my first challenge run for some reason, so I made the challenge even harder by setting the goal of being both the New Game Plus bosses on a fresh save file with all the other restrictions. So please sit back and enjoy the story of how I beat Persona 5 Royal using only Pixie with a bunch of extra challenges and restrictions tacked on. Oh, it's still going? Okay, well, let's talk about something else while we wait then. I had three major worries going into this challenge. 1. Pixie's abysmal strength stat. Pixie in this game dumps all of her points into magic and agility. While this will be fine in the mid-game, it makes early game much more dangerous. Fun's MB is very limited at the start, and dodging is much less consistent than just having more points in endurance to reduce all incoming damage. 2. Her resistances are a mixed bag. While she does resist both electric and light, she's also weak to gun, ice, and dark. Gun and dark are especially bad, as there's no skills for blocking gun damage in the game, and dark skills can insta-kill Joker, resulting in an automatic loss. 3. I'm not sure I could actually beat Lavenza with these restrictions. That's why I went out of my way to get access to the Jazz Club. Because without raising our party members' stats, things like getting enough crits or doing enough damage would become much harder while using only Pixie for the MC. Past Me isn't quite to where the challenge starts, but let me fast forward through some things and explain why I didn't start the challenge immediately after getting Pixie. First, we need to get a second persona from negotiation, so we don't have to fuse away Pixie during the fusion tutorial. This is hard to do on Merciless actually, as any weakness damage is multiplied by 3x, and the only other way of knocking down an enemy at this point is to get lucky crit with Joker, so I just decided to briefly drop down to hard, just for this one thing, and I changed it back afterwards. Finally, there are a lot of tutorials in the intro that require the use of Morgana or Ryuji. We just have to overlook those. But now that's all out of the way, and Anna has officially joined the party, and the challenge has officially started, let's talk about the first palace. Kamoshida's palace was the longest and hardest out of the entire playthrough. I died about a dozen times throughout this palace, so let's go through each death, and that should give you a pretty good idea of how this palace went. Death 1 and 2 were both the Cat Sith. These guys can buff themselves, resist Pixie's only attacking skill Zio, and are only weak to wind, which we don't have access to without Morgana. The only real solution here was to go and level up, which is going to be a common theme for this palace. Although this grinding was somewhat interesting, as the most efficient way to level up Pixie at this point was to negotiate with the enemy Pixies for a boost of XP till she gets to level 6 and learns all of her skills. Stepping outside the palace a minute to refill my SP, I grabbed some new equipment and the Chakra Choker for An to increase her max SP. Now that we're a bit more powerful, I was able to deal with those Cat Sith. One important thing I realized at this point is how powerful Dormina is on An. Being able to put an enemy to sleep to skip their turn and follow up with a physical attack for a guaranteed knockdown is a strategy I would end up using for most of the early game against enemies with no weaknesses to exploit. Although shortly after this we would get the Breeze Ring accessory, allowing either An or Joker to use Garo, helping our coverage quite a bit. Deaths 3 and 4 were both to the mini-boss of the palace, Archangel. This version of him is immune to Dormina, and instead of being weak to electric, he is resistant to it instead. In the end, I just buffed An's attack with Pixie and had him wear him down with Garo. On the way through the courtyard, just past the Archangel fight, I got ambushed and almost died to a Bareth and co. Oh, shoot! Oh, that's really not good. Bareths would continue to be a pain throughout the palace as they null gun skills and resist fire, making On almost completely useless against them and Joker mostly useless against them. I can't baton pass. Ah. Sucks so much. Okay. I don't know if I'd play a victory music there, game. I don't think that was a victory. I think that was a disaster. Oh, he almost got me again because he spawned right next to me. Okay. Our first fight against a succubus enemy was a certified SMT moment. We're not ready for Kamoshida yet. And we are not ready to grab the will seed either. I think these things are weak to gun, aren't they? Oh, okay. Good to know. How about Agi? I think they use Garo skills, so. Right, they use sleep skills, which isn't actually that terrible because it gets me more SP back, actually. As long as I don't die, right? Oh, there it is. Okay. Told you Dormita was really good. Death 6 would be me fighting the Archangel again, as it took me 2 tries to beat him for the second time. After running back to where it previously was, the only thing left to finish the palace is to take down 2 mini-boss Eligors to get to the last safe room and the treasure. At this point, I knew I would need more levels, so I attempted another fight against Bareth, got to 7. While grinding, I also died due to a bad baton pass to Ryuji, forgetting I wasn't allowed to use him to attack, so I just had to defend, and then Archangel killed everyone with a physical attack. Afterwards, I took a break from grinding to attempt the first Velvet Room, a challenge, and earned a new accessory and armor. Sadly, the armor was mail-locked, but at least the accessory could be given to Pixie to give her Agi. After half an hour, I managed to get Joker to level 10 and Pixie to level 7. Un was really close to leveling up to level 10, and so I decided to do that and then leave to refill SP for the last push to finish the palace. Oh wow, On needs 2 more XP to level up. Maybe we can fit in one more battle. Maybe we could fit in one more battle, yeah? Oh, shoot! No, you're kidding me. No, 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 no. Bye. Screw it. Run. Alright, whatever. She'll level up next time we come in. Oh, no, wait, she did, because I killed the Pixie. Nice. Okay. That works. I will take that. I will take that. And I will take it and run. While I had some free time outside the palace, I picked up the Fire Boost accessory for On and made a couple of lockpicks for chests inside the palace. Going back to the palace, I began backtracking to grab those 2 locked chests, which have a bead and a melee weapon for On in them. While I was doing that, I got ambushed by the same Bareth in the courtyard, and that was death number 9. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, shoot. Gosh, dang it. Okay. That's not a good start. What am I doing against Pixie? I can just kill it with physical. Ah, nuts. Okay. Do I have any revival items? This is pretty close. Okay. I mean, I guess if we lose, we just go back to the start of the infiltration. That's not a huge loss, but...
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, I struggled and I tried, but yeah. Tried so hard, got so far.
But after grabbing both chests, it was time to attempt the mini-boss fights. I died on the first attempt while attempting the Dormina strategy, number 10 by the way. But attempt 2, I realized it was weak to electric and was able to win easily. On my way back to save before attempting the second fight, I had another SMT moment and died to another Succubus Dormito technical wombo combo.
That's actually not terrible. Oh, wait. No, wait, that is terrible. Wait, why did she get to attack right after she used a spell? I don't understand how that works. What? Okay, whatever.
But cleaning up the fights again afterwards wasn't too hard, allowing me to finally get access to the treasure room and finish the dungeon. Before leaving, I had my last and 12th death in this palace while attempting the Willowseed Guardian fight, but on attempt 2, I managed to use the Dormita strategy to beat it. Honestly, while a bit grindy, this is what I had been hoping for. A set of rules that would make me think more deeply about the combat and emphasize the SMT aspects of Persona. What I wasn't hoping for was Kamoshida's boss fight to be such a pain in the ass. It was yet another case of just not enough stats. Since I don't have 4 people to heal and deal damage, I had to level up on Joker until they were able to brute force the fight. I couldn't even steal his crown to make him vulnerable, as sending away one of the girls to do that would leave the other one unable to do enough damage to distract him to be able to steal the crown. Pixie's level had stagnated at this point, and there was no way to get more skills on her until the next palace. In the end, it took 3 more deaths, an hour of grinding, and 3 in-game days, but I was eventually able to grind up to level 13 and beat him.
Now, another gameplay change, I guess, is because you're a female MC, Kamoshida can stare at you and lick you instead of on. That is foul, yet funny, yeah. Good attention to detail on that, because that's usually something you would only do for on, since she's the only female party member, but since, you know, the female MC. You can also see the player's name on one of the books with the book puzzle. You know, he's got the collection of, like, girls' names and everything, like the books about the girls. So, good attention to detail and stuff like that. I think that's, like, probably... Obviously, this is the only dungeon where stuff like that matters, because the rest of the dungeons don't have, like, a gender-specific, like, mechanics like that, but yeah. Or I guess not mechanics, but details. Alright, Cup is gone. Time for the volleyball spike thing. Get some free damage with this all-out attack, but it's not going to be much, unfortunately. It's Pixie's spring stat solo. Yeah, 71. It was like 72 last time. It's not much. I thought that was because Kamoshida was heavy thirsting for on, but being any kind of girl makes it funny yet sad. Yeah, it might have been that intentionally in the original, but it would make sense that he could also do that for the female MC. It is like a cool, like, little attention to detail thing. That would be cool, like, if it was in the official game as well. Little differences like that really show, like, you know, somebody thought about it, you know, and took the time to, like, make things consistent like that, so. It's often the little details in, like, video games that make, I don't know, it lets you know that somebody cared on the dev team, right? Come back here. You're one of my meat shields. I'll revive him in a minute and heal up, but let's get rid of this volleyball thing first. Kind of reminds, not quite the same thing, but like the little details thing kind of reminds me of, you know, the Metal Gear Solid franchise, where like there's a lot of the games where like there's like lots of little details that like help solve the world or whatever. MC sounds so much like a sadist when she laughs. Oh lord, yeah, she does. It was funny too, because during one of the fights with Kamoshida, she laughed while knocking out the cognitive version of Shiho. It was kind of funny. Kind of funny, not gonna lie. I don't want to... Okay, here, let's do this. A little bit of extra damage there. And then... Yeah, I guess just go ahead and use bead. That's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I'm usually really stingy with items, but here I don't have too much of a choice. Alright, well, we're down to the punching phase. Come on, a little bit more. Come on! Come on, Merciless. I'm really trying here. Don't F me on this now. Yeah. That was my last bead. Come on! Merciless, don't F me now. I'm trying so hard here. Oh, thank goodness he missed. Okay. Agility coming in handy there. Come on! Alright. Good luck with the reversal, Union. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, man. Come on! Oh, look at it. Pixels. Wait, do you have to steal his crown? No, okay. Alright. Oh! Yay! Yay! Ah! Uh-huh. That's right. I'm gonna get up and dance a little and move my legs, because I have not moved in like an hour. Ooh, ow, ow. I hit my leg on my chair. Yeah, buddy! We did it! That's the first palace done. Yes! Yes! Ah! That's nice. Alright. Okay. Woo! Look at that. That is the first palace done! Yes! Hopefully that's the hardest, or the most grindy. Oh! Level 14, baby. Nice! Nice! Oh! Let's go! Alright. Dang. Okay. Finally.
Because of all this grinding, I couldn't really hang out with social links too much after Kamoshida's Palace. I mostly focused on Takumi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, so I could buy the SP recovery accessories from her, that and grinding out levels on money and mementos for the next palace. Madarame's Palace was a bit easier than Kamoshida's. I only died 9 times throughout the palace. I'm not going to go through every single death this time though, I'll just hit some highlights and talk about the boss in detail. One thing I learned on this playthrough, you cannot get skill cards from negotiation until the tutorial about halfway through Madarame's Palace.
Nice. That went pretty well. Oh! Medea skill card! Yes, please! Finally, a new skill! Oh! Oh my gosh! We just got the tutorial for skill cards! I think we can farm out skill cards now! Gosh dang it! I spent so much time last night not being able to get a skill card, and it's probably because we did not get the tutorial for skill cards till just now. Ah! Okay. Alright. Okay.
I know this because I spent a 5-hour live stream grinding in mementos and trying to get skill cards to put on Pixie before the palace. I had no luck in getting a single one. A huge advantage in this palace over the last is that I now have accessories with the Invigorate passive skills, letting us regen some SP during fights. We did lose our 2 meat shields since we can now mix and match the party once Yusuke joined.
Okay. I can now mess around with party. Nice. Just the two of us.
But this turned out not to matter too much, as it meant that An and Joker gained more XP since it was only split between 2 people instead of 4. At least it didn't matter until the boss fight. I had completely forgotten about how the first phase of this boss fight worked, and it slapped me in the face. There are 4 parts of the boss in this phase: 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. The eyes drain all elemental magic, that being ice, fire, electric, and wind. The nose drains all non-elemental magic: psi, nuke, light, dark. He also has a special attack where he splashes paint on one of your party members, making them weak to all types of damage. If only one of the parts is taken down, it'll eventually revive itself if the other parts are still up. The way this is supposed to work is that you can use either a full party of 4 to either hit each part individually and take them down, or you can survive enough turns to throw his own paint on him and make him weak to all damage types. Unfortunately, Merciless triples the damage of all weakness hits, and we only have 2 party members. So this becomes a lot more tricky. The mouth especially can deal tons of physical damage to our glass cannons of An and Joker. This is further compounded by the eyes of being able to buff the mouth's attack and debuff our defense. Taking out all the paintings at once was impossible with both An and Joker's magic being absorbed by both the eyes. I tried using tons of healing items to outlast and slowly whittle it down, but the pain attack would mean almost certain death for either Joker or An if they didn't defend and get lucky with dodging attacks. Trying to engage with the paint mechanic was also a guaranteed loss, as it took too many turns. Once I leveled up enough, Joker or An could have survived on their own for a couple turns to have the other use the paint, but the boss would always use their paint attack to make them weak to everything and kill them before the other could use the paint on the boss.
Cool. Now we just have to spend one more turn, and I think... Please, RNG. Oh, right, the Artist Grace. Okay. See, this is the problem, though, with this strategy, is now, like, we're debuffed defensively. It's merciless, and we're weak to everything. So if this hits... Yeah. Yeah.
This went on for quite a while. In total, I died to Madarame 12 times, the most of any palace boss in this challenge run. At my wit's end, I began doing research and trying to find some solution. We had no way of getting more skill cards or accessories from itemization until the palace was finished. Eventually, I found a possible answer. When An gets to level 25, she learns the skill Fire Break, which negates the fire resistances of all foes. Madarame himself was only leveled 18 or so, and level 20 would usually be more than enough to beat him. Unfortunately, even after grinding a bunch and An and Joker getting extra XP from being the only ones in the party, and the extra 20% XP from Merciless, we were still only level 22.
Hey, if she levels up one more time, she gets Fire Break, which that could open up a new strategy as well if we use Fire Break on the things that are immune to it. The only thing is, let me see. Yeah, 2,500 XP to level up on again. That'd be probably about 30 fights, so we'd be here for like at least another half an hour, if not more.
So it took another hour of grinding, with chat begging me just to lower the difficulty, but I finally got on to level 25.
And there's An for level 25. Fire Break, baby! Negates fire resistance of all foes. Let's just hope that still works on bosses.
At this point, I still wasn't sure if this would work on bosses or not, since this was the first time I'd used a break skill in P5. So, I did some preparation, prayed, and hopped into the battle.
Now we bam Karagi. Yes, okay. Oh, finally. This will be so easy. Okay. Let's have Joker heal. There it goes. All right.
Madarame. No.
Neither of us were raised by you, so I have no qualms about doing this. Still, this will work out. Okay. Yeah, I knew as soon as we got to the second phase, we'd be fine. It's just getting there took forever. Holy cow. All right. Man, I should have done that from the start.
Thankfully, it did indeed work as intended. And with the first phase out of the way and being over-leveled, the second phase was not nearly as challenging, and I was able to beat it easily. Full of relief and proud of my accomplishment, I finished out the palace and began making preparations for my next conquest. Kanashiro's palace was where I really started to hit my stride with this challenge. Not only did we get Makoto at this point, but I spent some time farming out skill cards through itemization, giving Pixie many useful coverage skills finally. I should note at some point during this palace, I decided not to use any more items from DLC personas above my level. This wasn't technically a requirement set in the original rules, but after picking up the accessory from Asterius for An and Madarame's palace, and the Izanagi no Okami accessory for Joker, I saw how broken the accessories and other items you could get from the DLC personas were. This being my first time doing a challenge like this, I ended up adding more rules like this on the fly that I played in an effort to make things more interesting. Not that it mattered too much, as even with those rules, the only death here was to the first phase of Kanashiro. Turns out he has a gun-type skill in that phase, and since Madarame's Will Seed accessory was upgraded by Josei, it no longer passively blocked weaknesses. But that death would be the only death for quite some time, so to not drag out the video, I'm going to fast forward through the next few palaces. During Futaba's palace, we unlocked the gallows, allowing us to infuse personas into Pixie to make her stronger. Like itemization, I wouldn't use any DLC personas above my level. I also added the rule on the fly to not max out Pixie's stats until she reached level 99, otherwise there wouldn't be any challenge. The only challenge here, though, was the boss of this dungeon. I didn't feel I was ever in danger of losing, but it was a long, dragged-out fight with only 3 party members, and the ballista didn't reload for an unusually long time, to the point I thought it was completely bugged. I was worried I would hit the invisible turn limit and get insta-killed. If you're not aware, most of the palace bosses have an invisible turn limit you can eventually hit where they'll use a high-level Megidolon that will kill you. But in the end, I got through it on the first try. As for Okumura, the only notable challenge was that I had to speedrun the entire palace before I had to leave for a friend's wedding.
Oh, I gotta hurry up. I got like 5 minutes until I gotta leave.
But now that Haru has joined, we finally have a full party. That, and we finally got a perma-pick by farming out some materials from this palace, which is a huge benefit for mementos. Speaking of mementos, let's talk about the lack of Ryuji's insta-kill. Honestly, it didn't change too much. I grind way too much regardless whenever I play these games. The added challenge and the lack of Ryuji's insta-kill just made it harder for me to get over-leveled, which was probably honestly a good thing. Because I wasn't doing any of the guy social links, there were quite a few I couldn't do, but the strongest ones for time management were still available, those being Kawakami for extra actions during time slots, and Chihaya for fortune-telling reading to help with social links and alarms. That said, I did miss some social links that would have been really helpful. The combination of not having a Y in Shinya made guns a lot weaker than usual, which especially early on would have been useful for getting more technicals. Not hanging out with the politician or a Mishima didn't change things too much, although I did miss out on some good skill cards and itemization equipment because of that. For example, the only way to get the Absorb Curse skill card to cover Pixie's dark weakness is from Addis, which is only unlocked by finishing a Y social link. Or not hanging out with Mishima meant we couldn't get Sumeri's best melee weapon. We could still copy skill cards with Yusuke, although it was the weakest version of the ability, acting like the Shrine in P3 Portable or Reload, allowing us to copy one skill card at a time once every endgame day. Some other things I learned is that getting access to the gym and jazz club is tied specifically to different social links. So for example, getting access to the gym is something you usually do with Ryuji. On like rank 2 or 3, he takes you there and you can start going there. Whereas without him, you have to get to like rank 6 or 7 with An before she takes you to the gym and you can start going there. So that was something I had to consider when deciding who to hang out with, as going to the gym to increase Joker's HP and SP would be very useful for the Velvet Room attendant boss fights. And then the only way to get access to the jazz club is by hanging out with Akechi, which is honestly half the reason I made an exception for him, because I really wanted access to the jazz club for the extra stats and skills for the girls, as I was really worried throughout this playthrough that Lavenza just would not be possible with these restrictions on a first playthrough.
Well, this place should do nicely. This.
Hug.
Persona! Go, Robin Hood! Can you take this? What? Can you take this? So you're fast? I hate you.
Another thing I was worried about was the arena section size palace. This is a series of 3 rounds of fights where Joker is completely by herself. So, I came up with a plan. I decided to run Thunder Rain, Cyodyne, and Psyamp on Pixie. In the first round, I sweep the Ganesha with Cyodyne boosted by Psyamp for extra damage. Next up was a group of Rangda that I used Thunder Rain to smite. The enemy Thor, however, doesn't have any weaknesses, so I had to get a little tricky. I used a debilitate item on him and then used an item to dizzy him while he was setting up for a big attack. But with the debilitate plus technical damage from Psyodyne, Joker was able to one-shot him as well. This is also the first stream where I got a sub 1 minute bathroom break, so wins all around.
Oh, hey! Look at that! Finally! Ah, sub 1 minute.
The Psy boss fight took a little while, but by using items to set up physical walls on Joker, I was able to circumvent Pixie's gun weakness and beat her in one attempt. But even with Psy's palace done, the only thing on my mind was that the deadline to fight the twins was rapidly approaching. After Psy's palace, Pixie was at level 72, with the girls hovering around the 60 mark. I knew I wanted to max out everyone's levels before going up against the twins, so I decided to fight the Reaper and start farming him for levels.
Don't rush me. I'm trying to find you an escape route. Joker, why? This isn't happening.
For the Reaper fight, I found out that if you let him ambush you, he only gets 1 action per turn instead of 2. You lose out on Baton Pass, but for the Reaper who has no weaknesses, it's a worthwhile trade in my opinion. It also seems to really mess with his AI. He seemed to waste a lot of turns just using break skills on my party for some reason.
Still got the advantage. Go! Such a pain. They still got the advantage. Just hold out. How's this? It's still alive.
Boy, his stretch really don't work as well when he only has 1 turn.
This right?
Oh, an actual attack. Did nothing. Okay. He is really striking out.
I'm fired up.
I'll help you finish him off.
Sorry, no extra times with guys.
No holds barred.
Would have been a flashy end to the fight, but...
Get ready.
Oh my gosh, just die already.
I'll punish you. We ought to finish this.
Oh, there we go.
Rest in peace.
There we go. Alrighty.
Great, huh? Good work, everyone.
Alright, well, that was a little anticlimactic, but you know what? It worked out. And you know what? That's all I really care about.
After beating him once on stream, I ran through Shido's palace. With a full party of level 80 plus characters and Pixie having access to skills from the Gallows and skill cards, I didn't feel the restrictions at all anymore during this palace.
Joker took one out. Locked and loaded. Alright, looks like my turn. I will use my persona. Don't forget this feeling. Okay, let's move on.
At the request of Chad, I tried the Yakuza outfits on the girls, especially since there's a Yakuza dude in the palace. It's funny that when I was playing the challenge, I had no context for the outfits. Now I'm like 4 games deep into the series, and I have some context for the outfits. After beating him senseless during his socialing, Kakechi is back for revenge.
I will kill you. Destroy you. Crush you. Teammates are nothing but trash.
Not that he did much better this time.
We can end this quickly. Now!
But with Shida's palace almost done, it was time to take care of a few more things before sending the calling card. Once Shida is defeated, you can no longer challenge the twins, so it was important to make as many preparations as possible in the time left. Going to the jazz club, working out at the gym, growing vegetables with Haru, buying things from Tanaka, and finishing the last couple of hangouts with the twins. I wasn't too worried about the twins. They're relatively straightforward compared to Lavenza. They simply have 4 phases where they cycle through different types of attacks. The first being physical, next elemental magic, then the non-elemental magic, and finally everything at once. They also have an all-out attack if they knock everyone down or if the fight runs too long. Too long being 6 turns on phase 1, and then 5 turns on every following phase. The main challenge is keeping up with their damage output. In fact, for this fight, I switched Pixie over to a mostly support build. I gave Pixie Salvation, Heat Riser, Marakunda, and Spellmaster. Meanwhile, I relied on the other party members to deal damage to the twins. One thing I realized finally is that Madarame's Will Seed accessory does still cover weaknesses in addition to giving you access to unique skill. I have no idea what happened with Kaneshiro, to be honest with you, even looking back at the footage. I could have sworn I had that accessory equipped when he hit me with that gun weakness. I don't know. Anyway, yet another thing I've learned about Persona 5 from this challenge.
How do you feel? Are you ready to surrender?
Not that we'd let you.
The purpose of this examination is to ascertain your true power. We will continue until you fall.
How's this?
Persona!
Yosh. Feel my rage! Really? Next, how's this? Persona! Look out!
Persona! You let your guard down.
Are you okay?
Take this.
And Panther dodges with grace. Soda. Thank you. I feel so powerful. Take that. Huh.
You still have yet to fall. This is somewhat of a surprise.
Agreed. You're pretty good, inmate.
I can see why you caught the eye of our master. Perhaps it is time I begin getting serious.
This'll be hell for you. Let's go! Persona!
Huh? Here goes. Impressive.
I feel so powerful. Good thing we're prepared. Thank you. Allow me.
He is strong. This was unexpected. Yeah, this isn't the power of a normal human.
Looks like we don't need to go easy on you anymore. You're way better than we thought you'd be, inmate. We'll give it all we've got from now on.
Maybe now we will be able to see the hidden truth.
How's this?
Persona!
Take this! Okay. Thanks! Thank you so much!
Not bad, inmate.
Alright, that went better than I thought it would. I thought we'd have to try at least multiple times. We probably will with Lavenza, but that went pretty well. That went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. After defeating the twins, I wasn't too worried about Shido or Yaldabaoth, although the Shido boss fight was pretty fun. I'd swapped over to an almighty Pixie build, so I had a lot of fun nuking Shido, especially in the last phase where it's just you and him.
Resistance is
Although the almighty build was a bit of a detriment for the last section of Mementos. At max level it didn't matter too much, but not having a way to hit a bunch of weaknesses slowed me down some. But it was really Yaldabaoth I had planned the almighty build for. It allowed me to kill most of his arms before they were able to do anything. But just because we killed a god doesn't mean we're done here. This video is already pretty long, so I'm going to skip over Maruki's Palace for the most part. I could say that the section with only Joker and Akechi was difficult, but I'd be lying.
damn it.
Since we won't see it for the rest of the playthrough though, here's Femsi doing the story required Showtime attack with him.
Let's go! It's disappointing. Not bad for an improvised technique.
But now, it's time for the final challenge. One I've been thinking about and planning for over the last month. Lavenza.
I've been waiting for you.
Just like the twins, Lavenza is meant to be challenged on New Game Plus and access. Holy cow, my glasses are so dirty I can barely see the script. Should I do the thing where I like lick them or whatever? That's really gross. Don't lick your glasses, by the way. I'm just saying. I know some people do that. It's disgusting. Don't do it. Okay. Just like the twins, Lavenza is meant to be challenged on New Game Plus and with access to all your options. I've done this fight before with access to everything when I first played through the game a few years ago. I would say the challenge for Lavenza isn't dying outright. It's instead keeping up with her changing rules throughout the battle. Outside of the Persona 3 Fez version of Elizabeth, I'd say she's the hardest Velvet Room attendant fight of the mainline games. Let's jump into attempt number 1 and I'll show you why.
And now, here I come.
We start the battle with Makoto, An, and Haru. This first phase is the most straightforward as there's no failure state. Lavenza will use setup moves to try and get technical as she cycles through different elements. An and Joker will be dealing most of the damage during this phase, depending on what Lavenza's current resistances are. The worst thing that can happen during this phase is everyone getting knocked down, as that will allow Lavenza to use the twins' all-out attack and insta-kill the party. She can also knock down An here, but I have Evade Ice on An to help mitigate that. The plan goes smoothly when we move on to phase 2. This phase requires hitting Lavenza with a technical every turn into the first phase with a fail state. For this phase, I have An use Dormita to set up for a physical technical, and Makoto has Makajama in case An misses or fails so that Haru can follow up with a Sai technical hit. If you're doing things correctly, Lavenza will be knocked down here a lot. Rather than doing an all-out attack, use this chance to press the attack or heal up. Lavenza swaps to physical and light and dark attacks during this phase. Having Pixie with Reflect Physical and the girls have Evade Physical made this phase pretty easy as well. This is probably a good chance to show everyone's builds and explain why I went with what I did. For Pixie, I had to run Patent Array and Wind Amp and Magic Ability for damage. For defenses, she had Repel Ice and Fizz. Ice because An is weak to that, so maybe it would make Lavenza use it less was the thought process on that. Not sure exactly how the boss AI works in this game. And then Repel Physical because it would help a lot during the second and last phases. Drain Curse is there to keep insta-kills away, and Ollie Dance and Enduring Soul are there for general survivability, especially during the last phase. For the girls, I had all of them besides Makoto use the Orichalcum R accessory. This was to help boost their stats some, as well as give them Evade Fizz. I gave Makoto the Sword Dance belt so she had a high crit physical attack for the second and third phases. She also didn't need the extra stats as much, as she was the only one I could get her ultimate gun, which gives her an 11 extra points in all stats. There's a lot of good equipment I could make due to not maxing out half the social links in this game, but I at least got that on her. In terms of the important skills from the Jazz Club, I gave An Ollie Dance and Makoto Spellmaster. Ollie Dance was to help An avoid more attacks, and also because she's a bit squishier than Makoto or Haru. In retrospect, maybe I should have given Spellmaster a Haru instead, since her life wall skill was very handy, but my thought process was that I'd be using Debilitate a lot with Makoto, and her SP is relatively low, even at level 99. Unfortunately, even all that forethought and planning couldn't save me from bad luck. The third phase requires you to crit and knock down Lavenza at least once per turn, so I swapped out An for Sumeri and had her buff everybody's crit rate. But even with the buff, both Makoto and Haru hit the 1 in 3 chance of not getting a critical hit, and I lost on the first turn of the phase.
So, you were unable to knock me down. Perhaps Lady Luck is no longer at your side. This ends here. Nothing personal. I've barely started. The finishing blow will be dealt by us. Keep trying. It seems you're currently unable to display the true depths of your skill.
So I did something really stupid at the start of attempt number 2. I forgot to heal before starting it. Despite that, I got lucky with her first Nocturnal Flash, and later her Tentrafu not working in the first phase. That, and I knew I had more room to be aggressive here, so I was able to get through it a bit quicker. The ultimate support from Futaba also helped. By this point I had gotten out a calculator and was doing my best to keep track of how much of her health was left, so I could tell when her next phase would start. Allowing myself to heal up and set up a life wall to reflect her first physical attack back at her during the second phase. During this phase, my counting of her health would be slightly off due to reflected damage, leading me to swap out An for Sumeri a little early. This led to Lavenza hitting her darkness weakness and knocking her down and debilitating her. However, Futaba instantly clapped back with another ultimate support, rendering that meaningless. Since An wasn't around to use Dormina, I had Joker fill that role with a status ailment item. I did use 2 chances to do an all-out attack during the end of this phase, but that was just to make sure I pushed her into phase 3 this turn, as I knew my health count was a little off. Now back to the third phase, it was time to properly attempt this. Now that I had Sumeri to buff our crit rate and things were going a lot more smoothly. However, Lavenza will begin to use nuke and Sai skills here. Elements Haru and Makoto are weak to, respectively. Both have skills to evade these attacks, and Celendrion's trait, Veil of Midnight, gives all allies a chance to not get knocked down when hit with their weakness. But it's all a matter of luck. Truly fitting for this phase, I suppose. This phase is so volatile. I had a turn where both Makoto and Sumeri didn't crit, so I'm just over here praying that Haru would. But I got so lucky at the end of this phase. I swapped in An for Sumeri because I knew I was close to the last phase, but I wasn't sure exactly how close. And then neither Makoto or Haru crit.
Oh, please, one shot kill.
I'm ready to go. This is a part of me.
No!
No wonder you're the chosen trickster.
Wait, no! That was enough to get to her next phase.
But it didn't matter. I had counted wrong and I was in the last phase already. Truly the gambling phase. The last phase is an all-out brawl. Lavenza will swap between 3 different personas and use a variety of attacks. If you don't attack or do damage to Lavenza, she will immediately use her chainsaw for a physical attack against a random party member.
Will you survive?
Are you okay?
Every 6 turns, she will also use the Concentrate Megi Dolan that is a one-shot kill. So you need to either have an Endure skill on everyone or kill her within that time. Even with the Endure skill, you won't be able to survive the second go-around. Things started to spiral out of control already. Luckily, Futaba came in clutch with the final guard to save Haru. And Makoto dodged the retaliation on the heal.
Will you survive?
Haru even got a showtime with Makoto, which put the momentum back in our favor.
Let's both teach them a lesson.
And with a bit of luck, I was able to push forward. Makoto went down to a Sai attack, but Joker was able to dodge the charge one-shot kill from Adabaka. This whole phase was just a mess of trying to hit back and forth. Suddenly, Lavenza pulled out Lucifer for a concentrated Megidolon.
Now, witness my true power. This calls for Unguide.
Joker was the only one to survive, but it didn't matter because Futaba immediately sent out an all-limit support, the third one!
Oh! Let's go!
Thank you.
Let's go, Futaba! MVP!
This phase was honestly so much fun. Like I said, it was an all-out brawl. I had prepared for this fight for the last month of my life, and I was in the last phase almost about to win!
It's not a game. I'm not a robot AI challenging you. I'm not a venom. I'm in your face and I'm here to see it through. Right before your eyes, watch us multiply. Come to claim our rights. It's time. As our power grows, trying to stop us shows. Might as well go try. Stop time.
This calls for
So you know that we're out there, swatting lies in the making. Can't move fast without breaking. Can't hold on or life won't change. And our voices ring out, yeah. Took the last call to feel free. Fought it out in the debris. Now we know that life will change.
Is that our casualties? Joker! Why? This isn't happening!
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't disheartening to lose when I was that close. But more than anything, it showed that my strategy could work. An entire month's worth of preparation and over 150 hours had gone into it. Now all that was left was to execute.
And now, let's begin. This calls for
It's now or never, and I've got to make my decision. This time it could be my moment. Is this a mirage or a chance to fulfill my mission? A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost land. A heartbeat for a demon, a wedge is in a change land. I'm giving the balance, but I'm standing on razor's edge now. Well, quick, all my life is over. One strike just up and then I'm out of his field of vision. Don't ask why I'm ready, but I'm ready to strike him down now. I've just saw the new stars, there's no time for indecision. A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost hand. When the hope of new beginnings burned our feet, now we needed a heartbeat for demon, oasis in a siege land. Remind the bosses of greed and fear. Yeah. Don't ask if I'm ready, but I'm ready to take them down now. The time for a new start is constantly drawing nearer. A river in a dry land, the last is in a lost head. When the hope of new beginnings burned our feet, now we needed a heartbeat for demon. Oasis in a siege land, remind us from here for creating new life, creating rivers in the desert. When a cool drop of water sunny, gotta clear my head of anger and grief. A place to refresh heart and mind. Can I find sunshine? And rivers of dry land, the last days of lost head. When the hope of new beginnings burned our feet, now we needed a heartbeat for demon. Oasis in a siege land, remind us what we're here for, creating new life, creating rivers in the desert.
Nice. And that's game. Woo! Hey. Oh boy. Well, that's the culmination of the last month, a little over a month now, of planning, preparing, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, yup. Third time's the charm.
That was as expected. I have truly witnessed firsthand the fruits of your rehabilitation. No matter what strives to keep you down, you have retained your freedom through your own will. Despite all the pain and hardship in your way, you kept faith in your comrades and continued to fight for your beliefs.
It was tough.
You may say that, yet you still accomplished the task. That must be what charms those around you. I'm extremely grateful that I could witness the path you've chosen to forge. Thank you so much, my trickster.
I should be thanking you.
Yes, you're welcome. You may currently be confronting an incredible ordeal with your comrades. However, no matter what obstacle stands in your way, you have no need to fear.
After all, I have deemed you the world's greatest woman. Zenith's defense, an orb with almost godlike power, nullifies all magical attacks except Almighty. Oh, wait. Wait, it says all magical attacks. Pixie's still weak to gun. Alrighty.
With Lavenza finally beaten, the only thing left to do is to beat Marky. It required some thought, but it went fine.
Persona! Let's finish this! Persona!
The final section was cool as always, although some of the animations were a little funky with Femc.
Checkmate.
The fistfight feels a little different when Joker is a girl being beat up and beating up on a grown man.
Why?
But in the end, I had done it. I beat Persona 5 Royal using only Pixie from the start of the game and the girls.
Well, oh boy, that is the end of Persona 5 Royal. Pixie only, girls only. I never had any doubt it could be done. I had some doubt Lavenza could be done. There was a little bit of doubt about Lavenza. But yeah, overall, it's a great time. You know what? It was good. But Joker's parents won't let him keep Morgana. What if Joker just throws Morgana out the train window?
The start of the game was absolutely brutal. The first two bosses were such big hurdles because a lot of the mechanics and systems were locked off at that point in time, either by the progression or the rules I added. But as more and more systems became available, even with restrictions, I gained more and more power, more than I thought it would, honestly. I tried to put some brakes on it in the mid-game with some of the extra rules, but it didn't really make much of a difference. The only other difficult thing was Lavenza. I think if I didn't allow the jazz club, she would have been much more difficult, or at least had less room for error. Like, I would have failed more in the crit phase or something. That said, I did learn a lot about Persona 5 Royal that I didn't know before, and I got a better appreciation for its balancing when DLC is off the table. I also realized why there's so many challenge runs of Persona 5 Royal. Ironically, it's because of the same reason this game is so easy in my opinion. There's so many systems in this game that give the player power, that if you know what you're doing, it makes the game really easy. But once you take away different systems, you have to rely on what's left, making for some interesting gameplay choices. But I think this was a good place to start with the series, as I plan on doing similar challenges using only Pixie and other Persona and SMT games. In fact, if I'm releasing this on time, I should be starting the Persona 4 Pixie Only challenge on stream tomorrow. Specifically the original PS2 version and not the updated Golden version. As I've never played the original, and Golden Shuffle Time mechanics would make a one Persona run too easy in my opinion. That being said, the more I've thought about this challenge, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than I anticipated. So if you're interested in seeing another challenge like this one, please go check that out on the stream tomorrow. Either way, thank you so much for watching this video. It took a while to make. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And in case I don't see you, I hope you have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.